Which is better, HoneyBook or Dubsado? So today is actually the first lesson in the HoneyBook mini course. So you can probably guess which one I like better. However, I think it's really important to understand the differences, and not everybody is the same. And Dubsado is not a bad product, and it might actually have some things inside of there that are not only useful to you, but more useful in terms of features that you need to run your business versus what is inside of HoneyBook. So unlike other comparisons where they like click back and forth between screens, instead I have just compiled a slide deck for you. So we have like 27 slides, or not even 25 slides to make it through. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about what is a CMS, so a client management solution, or the S can be a software or system, whatever. The S is kind of generic. And then also, how do they compare to other CMS products out there in the market? Because it is kind of confusing, because you're going to see, I think it's 21 hats, 17 hats, I don't know, something like that. And Zoho, there's a million things that literally could also serve your purposes in terms of being a CMS system. And then we're going to talk about the pricing tiers between the two of these, because I do believe if you're watching this video, these two products are really the ones that you want to look at, and you don't really want to look at some of the other ones because they're a little too generic. And when I say if you're watching this, you're probably someone who does stationery, whether you do wedding invitations, you're a wedding event planner, you're a photographer, you are a calligrapher, then this is probably the better product for you. Or even when you do custom one graphic design work. We'll also talk about the background of who created each, because that did factor like a huge amount in my decision on which one I went with. And then also we'll talk about what's the same, what's different, and what I recommend and why. Now, if you are like, I do not have time to listen to you, lady, just give me the skinny, I have created a free download, which you can get below, or if you just like to take notes. And this is just basically what's in HoneyBook, what's in Dubsado, and also my take on it as well. So you can download this for free. I have a link below. If you want the slide deck though from today, that is part of the HoneyBook mini course. This is actually the first lesson. I am just popping it on my YouTube channel because I think it's that important. You probably don't want to pay for a HoneyBook mini course if you're not really sure this is a product that you would like to invest in. So there's that. Now, what is inside the HoneyBook mini course? There's actually a lot. So it's split up into two parts. So one is just the basic setup, which honestly, when you enroll into HoneyBook, it has like a little wizard that might actually take you through all these steps. Anyway, that's why I split it into a basic and advanced, because HoneyBook really doesn't do anything in the wizard to show you the advanced. They kind of show you a couple things, and I think they do them quite honestly out of what makes logical sense to me for order. But the basic one is just setting up, your subdomain, that client portal, putting all your branding colors, your logos, your fonts in there. Now, if you purchase the calligraphy branding kit, I have resized all of the logos that I put in that branding kit for you, so you can just upload them automatically to HoneyBook. So you're welcome. You don't even have to do anything else. And, maybe you want to change the logo, but you just don't have time right now. You just want to get up and running and start bringing in clients. And so I just never want graphics to be like a stumbling block, because I know before I learned graphic design, it was a huge issue. I was like, can you resize this? And then I'd have to wait for my graphic designer to like read my email, first of all, and acknowledge it. And then maybe she would get around to doing it. And then I would say, oh, you know what? I really didn't need it with a white background. I really needed it to be transparent, or can you make this little change? So it would take forever. So I just don't want you to be stuck waiting on somebody else. So all of those are for you. Now, once you're done with that basic setup, you're going to go on to the advanced setup, which is really the whole point of using these systems. It has the automations and the workflows and the emails and the automated notifications, right? So this is kind of how you are able to make money when you're sleeping, because people are getting those automated responses. And when you wake up, you have an appointment maybe at 10 a.m. that day to talk with a prospective client who not only knows all about you, but knows your process and your timeline and everything else. So that is what we do in the second part of the course. Now, there is a workbook as well that goes with this, because there were just so many different pieces. I didn't want people to forget. And sometimes when you have like these talking head videos, and even when you're clicking through, I don't want you to have to rewatch it a million times, and you can just go through the checklist and the description, and there's areas for you to take notes for all 12 steps in the whole setup. So all of that is in there, as well as the slide deck from today. So let's get back to basics. What is a client management system? It's really just there to help you to be more efficient. So in the old days, or someone who doesn't want to invest in a CMS, usually they'll probably just do everything via email. And it's kind of like my story about the graphic designer. You're in this like pain cycle. It's almost like Groundhog's Day, where you tell them your availability. They tell you what theirs is. It took too long. So now their availability has changed. And so they have new dates. And this goes back and forth just to make one meeting. And then on top of it, you have to ask for what are your brand colors, how many guests you have for the wedding, and then this goes back and forth. So this is supposed to take away all of that pain and silliness and help you streamline everything. And also, if you have ever tried to manage customers via email, then you know, like it's like a mess, right? There's like a ton of emails all talking about different things at different times from different people. And so you have to either put that on a piece of paper or into a spreadsheet or something else. And this instead is supposed to be a robust database, which will manage all of this for you. And it has a workflow. So you can see where people are in the process. Like, has Jane paid me? Yes, she has. Has she paid the deposit? Has she paid her next payment? Has she paid her final payment? So you do not have to worry about creating new columns on a spreadsheet to track all of this. The other thing is, I know that there is sometimes a temptation, especially when you're starting out, you're like, I really just don't have money to invest in something, especially if you don't have any clients. Like, I totally get that. Here's the thing though. It's kind of like that. If you build it, they will come. So you want to start building a system, one, to look more professional, and also two, to think about your process, not like make it up as you go. And this really forces you to make it up, to have it all made up before you even start. And so people actually enjoy that, right? So, it's 3 a.m. For whatever reason, your prospective client is awake and looking for their ideal calligrapher. And they're going online and they have 4 beautiful websites, right? One of them likes to book things via email because that's just her method. And the other person has an automated system where you can just plug in your date, send your colors in, and you're done. You can actually just pay the deposit right then. And I'm not saying you should take a deposit without talking to somebody, but why not? I mean, you could just take it and then you can always refund it if it doesn't work out. So the thing is, I think once people are ready to make that, there are like a few different types of clients, but sometimes people are just ready to make a sale and they just want to be done with it, right? And there are other people who really want to take their time. They're less decisive. They want to think about things. I am not one of those people. I would 100% just buy from somebody who I can just pay right now and not worry about it. I don't even have to talk to them because a lot of people don't want to talk to you. I know. It's crazy. Everyone thinks like they need this like chatty back and forth, like Zoom call. Some people are like, you know what? I've sent you the details. I don't want to think about this. There's like 1,000 other things I need to plan for my wedding. Just kind of like do it, right? And I think that's where Zazzle comes in and why it's been such a successful platform. So I guess I'm just trying to say, go ahead and invest in a CMS. And especially when you see the pricing, it's really not that much. Now, there are other alternate solutions which do cost millions of dollars. I don't even know. I mean, I guess Oracle has a sales pipeline ability of like HoneyBook and Dubsado, but it's like $2 million to do an Oracle installation. Okay, might be exaggerating the number, but it's around there. And all of these other things, Salesforce, Pipedrive, Zoho, those are so expensive. You're not really going to need them. And Monday.com, some of these are really just meant to be an organizational system, content management system. They're not really client management systems, but somehow because they do have a couple things like bells and whistles in there, they've been labeled as a CMS that could be a competitor to HoneyBook. I forbid anyone to use Keep. It is super outdated. In fact, anytime I see something from Infusionsoft, even if I like sign up for someone's mailing list, I automatically like leave that mailing list. I'm like, this is something so archaic and old. I don't even like want to know because they're just not willing to invest in something new. So that's how I feel about that. Okay, so why only HoneyBook and Dubsado? There are a lot of products out there that are geared just toward the stationery creative industry, and Show It is one of them. Wedding photographers love that platform. And same thing with aisle planners. That's for event planners for weddings. Now, the nice thing is because they're niche down, it does help you because they have some pre-made templates. So you'll notice when you sign up for HoneyBook, it'll ask you what you do. Are you a calligrapher? Are you a wedding planner? Or are you a wedding photographer? And as such, it will have some pre-canned templates already built inside of there to kind of help get you going. So that's also a really nice reason to use HoneyBook or Dubsado over all the others. Plus, they're priced based on the fact that you are probably a solopreneur who is not charging millions of dollars like a corporation. So you don't need Oracle or any of those larger software pieces. So here are the pricing tiers. Now, once you decide, there's really honestly no reason to make a decision at all based on pricing. They basically cost exactly the same. So HoneyBook per year is $390 and Dubsado is $400. That's a $10 difference. Like I blow that much just going to get a latte at Starbucks because I'm adding an extra pump of vanilla or extra something. And then as soon as I add like a baked item, I've gone over my $10. So this is a really, really silly reason to look at price. Even though I know everyone looks at price, I'm like, what are you doing? Like it doesn't matter. They cost exactly the same. Now, here's the thing that I think trips people up. HoneyBook has a 7-day trial. Dubsado has an unlimited trial. However, I will tell you 100%, they are completely useless. Don't think about the trial. Don't like hold out hopes that you can save money using this silly trial because all the bells and whistles are in the paid program for both of them. So the trial is just for you to kind of click around for a couple things and then get a notification message that says you need to upgrade if you want to look and see how this works or customize this stuff. So 100% forget about the trial. I can't emphasize that enough because people get so excited. And I see other people making videos and they're like, you get an unlimited trial. You get an unlimited trial of nothing. So just forget about it. Now, the thing that is weird is HoneyBook does have what looks like a lower tier. So it looks like you only pay $9 a month, but that's only up until you get 10,000. So as soon as you make 10,000, it forces you to go on to the $39 per month fee or pay $390. So I would say if you think you're going to do it, just go ahead and do the $390 and try it out. If you're not really sure if you even like calligraphy though, or you're not sure you want to be a wedding invitation designer, sure, go ahead and do the $9 per month one. Now, who's behind each product? So this was really important to me because I have invested in so many different training programs and software platforms that have just disappeared. Like we're not even talking like they said, oh, hey, I think we're going to shut down the doors. Like one day I just went there and the URL just doesn't work. And like, it's not registered to anyone. You don't even get a 404 error. Nobody else bought it. So that sucks like big time. And so here's the thing, HoneyBook feels like a real company to me. It's older. It has public funding, like millions of dollars, and it has more employees. It's based in San Francisco. It has another office in Tel Aviv, and it looks like they're always hiring versus Dubsado is just a guy and his wife that decided to start a company for fun and their kids in the office so they can bring their children with them to work. And that's kind of it. And they could close down at any time. And I know a lot of you who love Dubsado or have read the interviews with the founders are like, that would never happen. That could totally happen to either company. I just feel like it is a lower likelihood with HoneyBook than it is Dubsado. And that's really a huge reason why I no longer will really invest in putting a lot of my work and like my business onto a small platform like that. Now, what is the same? There's a lot of things that are the same. They both do things good. And just like I was saying before, I'm not like poo-pooing Dubsado at all. It's not a bad product. I just like HoneyBook better for different reasons. So basically the packages are the same, right? So packages it has multiple line items. You can change the quantity of belly bands. You can change the quantity of inner envelopes or of wax seals or whatever you want. They both have built-in scheduling tools. So if you want to meet with your client or have a job start on a particular date or end on a date or do check-in meetings or deadlines, it's all built inside of there. You don't even need to use a third party. And then they all have custom map fields. So like wedding colors, you could ask somebody their wedding colors and map those into fields and then have that for every time you have a new wedding customer and ask them the same questions. Contact forms, this is really confusing because when you think about contact forms, you think about on somebody's website where it says contact and they have a name, their email, and they ask you a question. That's not what this is. This is a super questionnaire where you have a client, a prospective client who wants to hire you. You ask them all the questions that you need to know on whether or not you can do, I guess basically the questions you'd ask during the discovery call. And then you can send them a brochure with all of the services that you think fit for them. So this is what is called lead captures, and both of them have that same capability. They have legally binding e-signatures on contracts. I think the only difference is possibly Dubsado has the ability for clients to sign off on work versus like with a legally binding signature versus HoneyBook, it would just be via like messages inside HoneyBook. However, I think that works just fine. I don't think you need another electronic signature on something for like a mid-process design. And then also you can white label the customer portal on both. So like I said, on HoneyBook, you can use your own subdomain. So I could use honeybook.prettyfabulousdesigns.com, or I could call it clientportal.prettyfabulousdesigns.com, or whatever I feel like. I don't even need to use a subdomain. I think I can use whatever I want. Or you could use theirs if you're like, you know what, I don't need to bother with that. You could just have like lisasiefert.honeybook.com. So that works it's the same on both platforms. And then you can embed that into your own website, and you can accept currencies and multiple what am I trying to say? You can accept payments in multiple currencies from different countries. They can both like have a field to let your clients give you gratuity, and they both have workflow automations, which is kind of what everybody wants. All right. Having said that, let's talk about the differences. So the first one is HoneyBook wins on customer service. They just have more staff. And I noticed when I signed up for Dubsado, they recently did change this, and I have not used this service, where you can call in for 2 30-minute calls per month, as far as I can tell, for free if you were on the paid plans. Like I said, the trials are useless. And they have chat. They both have chat and they have email. And but the HoneyBook one, I just noticed because they have so many more employees and they must be incentivized based on like your usage or like how happy you are with different surveys. But I noticed they were constantly coming at me versus me having to go to them. They were like, hey, I noticed you like haven't finished doing your setup, or hey, do you need help putting together a brochure? Or hey, I see that you only entered like 2 canned emails. So somebody over there, I don't know who was actually doing stuff. And every time you get a message from someone at HoneyBook, because of the concierge service, it says right inside there, schedule a time to meet with your HoneyBook person. Now, I will say I was ghosted by a HoneyBook person a couple times, but I wrote into the main customer service and told them, and they reassigned me to somebody else who was very responsive. So, everyone has problems just like everybody else. And I'm sure there are great people at both companies. It just seemed like there was a more robust staff at HoneyBook who was actually reaching out to me versus me having to reach out to them. So, however, I should say this is probably a win now that Dubsado has the ability to schedule a live phone call with somebody. So that is something you can do with HoneyBook, but only through the concierge that emails you, which happens all the time, versus Dubsado, where you can just schedule it with anybody. I guess what I really like about HoneyBook is they don't really limit me on the phone calls. Like no one's like, okay, we've only talked to you twice. Don't call us again. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay. And I totally get that because Dubsado is smaller, so they do have to charge. Integration. So to me, whenever someone says that they have an integration via Zapier, I'm like, forget you. That is not an integration. The reason it is not a real integration is 1, it's not native to the application. 2, you have to know how to use Zapier, and you might have to use webhooks, and webhooks aren't easy. They're actually kind of difficult, and sometimes even Zaps just don't work. And Zapier is expensive. It is not cheap. So now you have to pay for another software application in order to integrate your product. So when you tell me you have a Zapier integration, you basically have nothing in my mind. So what are the different integrations for both? I really think HoneyBook wins because you can connect your G Suite. And then there is a Chrome extension for HoneyBook, which allows you to do a ton of cool stuff. And then you can connect Calendly, you can connect Zoom, Facebook login, Facebook ads managers. And so why would you want to do Calendly if you already have a scheduling tool inside of HoneyBook? I think it would be great if the only scheduling you ever had to do is with HoneyBook. But more than likely, you have things going on with other parts of your business and other scheduling tools. And so being able to hook up Calendly, which hooks back to your Google Calendar, makes sure that you never get double booked. Versus Dubsado, basically they have accounting, they have some video, so you can do Zoom. And then they have this weird thing called CloudSpot, which I've never even heard of. I don't know what that is. I guess that's where you can upload images. Maybe that's important to photographers, and that's why I'm not familiar with it. But I don't know any photographers that use CloudSpot. So to me, it seems like hands down, HoneyBook definitely wins this one. As far as invoicing, it's mostly just that HoneyBooks is prettier and it has like hierarchies, so you can like indent certain items. So it has more of a visual flow to it versus Dubsado. It's like when you go to the grocery store, everything is equal, one by apples versus meat versus a magazine versus a piece of bread, right? It's just one huge laundry list. So definitely HoneyBook's better. As far as task management, as far as I know, Dubsado has nothing versus HoneyBook. If you have a team, and I am a solopreneur, but if you had a team or vendors that you work with, it will send notifications at different points in the process. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to nag people, and it will remind people of things, tasks that they need to do. The other thing is a mobile app. Dubsado has nothing. HoneyBook has one. I love checking things on my mobile app. I don't know that I'd want to run my entire business there, but it has that nice little like ring whenever you make a sale, or it gives you a notification if something's coming up. And I think that can only help you to manage your business better. And payment processors. So I kind of say HoneyBook's a lose on this. However, some people see it as a win. Here's the difference. So HoneyBook, if you're taking revenue in, HoneyBook takes the revenue in as HoneyBook. If you are on Dubsado, you can take the revenue in as yourself, as Lisa Siefert, through my Stripe or my PayPal or my Square. I actually like Dubsado better. I prefer that method because one, I get the money instantly. And then two, I don't have to go through a third party, whereas HoneyBook holds on to your money and then they decide when they feel like paying you out. It could be, I haven't looked at the current payment terms, but I feel like they were taking like a month last time I looked. So it's like, they're just going to hold on to your money for as long as they feel like, for whenever. And then if a customer has a dispute, they'll let HoneyBook know, and then you'll just never get your money. So I actually hate that. However, some people do like that because then they don't have to pay for Stripe or sign up with Stripe or PayPal or anything else. But I feel like at this point, most people who are online businesses know how to set up Stripe and HoneyBook, or Stripe and PayPal, but I could be wrong. Revision history, as far as I know, Dubsado has nothing, but HoneyBook does. So like if you have a bride who keeps changing her numbers and then is questioning you about the final bill, then you could have a revision history to say, hey, on this date, you added 20 people. And on this date, you marked it back down to 2, but it's still, so you can let somebody know. Public proposals. Now, HoneyBook has nothing, so that's unfortunate. You can only send those pretty brochures to somebody who's already in the system, and they have to be sent individually. Even though they're automated, you can't just have a blanket one, versus Dubsado does allow you to do that. So they definitely went on that one. Multiple brands, again, Dubsado wins. You just pay $10 extra and you can have multiple brands. So like I could have my calligraphy brand, I could have my wedding photography brand, not that I have one. I could have my what else could I do? I could do event planning. I could do anything else, coaching, whatever it is, through HoneyBook, through different brands, or through Dubsado, different brands for $10 each per month, versus HoneyBook has nothing. I have to just buy a whole separate new HoneyBook account. Migration services. So this was kind of funny. Dubsado loses because they had this thing called the white glove migration service. Now, I've had white glove service for relocation, right? And it is white glove. Like physically somebody is there. They are taking care of all of my furniture, all of my utilities. They're making sure to find, if I had children, find a new school for them, right? Like that to me is white glove. But even though it's called White Glove, it's Dubsado, they're like, we're just going to import your clients, which honestly, I think is kind of dumb. Like, why would I want to import my clients into a new system that has no workflows or automation set up, none of my canned emails, none of the billing? You're going to port names over for me? Like, thanks for nothing. Versus HoneyBook will actually port everything over there to your clients, they'll do your templates, they'll do your emails. So to me, that's a real migration service. So they definitely win. However, I want to note that on their website, it does say that this is a temporary bonus. So it might go away at some point. I'm not sure. In which case, I guess HoneyBook's lame client only thing would win. But again, I think if you're in the middle of thinking about transitioning, I would 100% leave every client you have on the current system and then only add new people on the new system. Yeah, you might have to pay double for a while, but it's going to be a much cleaner migration. Final verdict. So I definitely think HoneyBook wins. That's why I only created a HoneyBook mini course, and mainly because it's a larger company. It has more funding. It seems more professional, and I have more. I'm very risk averse, and I guess if I was more of a risk taker and I liked gambling and Vegas and casinos, I don't know, maybe I'd be like, whatever, I don't care that this is a tiny mom and pop shop of Dubsado. I'm just going to go ahead and try it. So that's just not something I feel like secure enough to put an entire business on. Plus, I like that HoneyBook has more native integrations, and they seem to be adding more and taking more things into account. And Dubsado does have more customizations. And like I said, it's not a bad product. It's just that because you can customize so many different things, it's almost like MySpace versus Facebook. Like, it's just kind of the old west. And also at the same time, both as a customer for web designers and for what else have I gotten done? Graphic design and other one-on-one services through Dubsado, every single time as a customer, everything gets screwed up. Like, people are sending me double invoices. People are sending me notifications for things that I've already turned in or submitted. People are asking me for extra payments or final payments before anything is done. And that is always on Dubsado. And I don't believe it is the system. I believe it is the person programming it. But because Dubsado is much more difficult to figure out, I think people that are trying to use Dubsado to program things are getting it screwed up on the back end. And that's why it's sending out all these incorrect messages. So overall, 100%, I definitely recommend HoneyBook over Dubsado. If you would like this course for free, the HoneyBook mini course, it is free inside of the calligraphy starter kit. It is a bonus inside of there. And then also you can just enroll in the course separately by yourself for a small price. If you're like, I'm not a calligrapher, but I would like some help setting up HoneyBook, then that is available to you as well. So I will leave links to everything below. I hope everyone's having a wonderful, fabulous, and fantastic day. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.